Hello, welcome to Going 19, episode 68. Today we continue our discussion on part 2 of Wolves of the Calla, up to and including chapter 5, The Tale of Grey Dick. I am Ed. With me are Allie and Amber. Let's start the show.
Jericho Hill incident. Yeah. Oh wait. Nor was it rheumatiz, as he had been telling himself. I don't understand the secrets. I mean, I guess we're creating conflict is what we're doing.
I just don't understand what possible logical reason there could be for not telling them that he's in pain. Like they need to know, especially because he's their din. Like
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
says
what is Din? Is that like teacher or like master?
like ringleader.
mentor, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's the head of the group. You know, if you see any four people, someone's got to take the lead.
Sure.
And he says, I might have a year, he thought, lying in bed, blah, blah, blah. I might even have two. Until what? You die? What is
Right.
going on here?
Or until he's no longer useful to the cause?
Right. Not that he would cry off the tower if old Bone Twist Man took his ability to shoot, saddle a horse, cut a Chippewa hide, even to chop wood for a campfire. Yeah, I don't think you're going to the tower if you can't do any of that. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't think they have
all there.
Yeah, he needs to go to a world where they have like Roscoe's and get a couple of those.
It's almost like, I don't know if this is what he's thinking or not. I just thought of this. Like he doesn't want to tell them because then maybe they'll have to decide that he has to stay behind.
Yeah. Yeah, I yes, and that way it doesn't work. So stop thinking that way, asshole. Like you need, if this is your quartet, then you need to trust them. That's or they're not your quartet. I don't understand how it can be both.
Well, it's like he just wants to get to the tower, and that's all he cares about. Truly.
Man, I guess we did know that from page 1, right? Still seems harsh. How could you not like Eddie? Come on, man. I like Eddie. I like his name. The sunset was not. The brightness no longer bloomed dead east. So the sun is setting in the east. It was just the morning. Anyway, now it was east and now it's south. So he's doing that geography thing again, right? Or how they're like standing at the Western Sea and like looking south to see north or some weird. Got to be hard to live in a world where like the geography is like melting and changing
and time.
Yeah, the two together makes it like how do you? They keep a handle on what's going. I guess. Well, Warland never really. Warland hasn't world hopped, right? He just went and got Eddie
through the doors.
Hey, that's the only time he's done anything outside of his world, right? As far as we know.
Well, unless you count, because they went to the different Topeka on Blaine.
Well, that's true.
And ended up in a different world.
I think that's a third world, right? That's a different one because that was our Earth, but not our world. Is the first way to say that? Because the world that we know, this is like what you were talking about, Amber. Like the world in the real world is not the one that had the plague in it, according to them. The world they came from did not have the plague. So this third world had the plague, and that's a completely another place they were in. And is that where they are still? Wait. After they left the castle, they were dumped back in Midworld, right? After the
Well,
No.
Wizard of Oz castle. How do they get back to Midworld?
the pink ball.
Oh, but where did it put them?
They talked about it, I think, in this book briefly, but I don't remember. Like they said they could see the castle from where they ended up, but it was like far away. It must have been at the very beginning.
I wonder what the other balls do. All we know is pink and black.
I mean, none of
And if it's
them,
black,
like, they're all evil, so.
yeah, but there's levels to evil, right?
I don't know if I want to mess around with magic balls like that.
Well, but if you have to, you have to. Right? Yeah. I want the purple one. Just saying. I don't know what it does. Maybe it makes everything purple. Maybe that's its magic color.
You can wear
And if there's
sunglasses and achieve that, you know.
yeah, I can wear clothes and achieve that. And if it's black 13, there's 12 11 other ones. I don't know what number. Does that mean there's 13 of them? I don't know what number the pink one is.
That's a good question, actually.
Why are we calling it black 13? Because 13 is the number, like black 19, that would have made sense. I feel like you missed a good opportunity there.
The problem is, because I knew a lot of this going into it, I didn't pay enough attention to the first times that it was mentioned.
Yeah.
You're right.
I want to say in Wizard and Glass, they said that there were like the Wizard's Rainbow was 13.
Oh, yeah. So it's based off of that, I guess.
Yeah.
So, like the colors of the rainbow?
Plus some.
There's no black. Yeah, there's no black in the rainbow, right? Red, yellow, and pink. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are only 7 colors in the rainbow. 7, 8.
Well, maybe black 13 accounts for 5. I don't know. I don't know why I'm
comes
calling
from Merlin's Rainbow, but I don't know if that's like a thing that he made up or a real thing. Well, or a real mythological thing.
it. Or a real thing he made up.
Yeah, a real thing we all made up.
I don't think we know that.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. This is Dark Tower Wiki, so that's very Stephen King specific. But it's just saying that so according to the lore, so maybe it doesn't really come from anything, but Merlin's rainbow consists of 13 colored spheres. The first 12 represent the 12 guardians of the beams, each having a secret form of magic. The black 13 represents the Dark Tower itself.
Okay. I hope that wasn't a spoiler. That makes sense. So the 12 guardians and why can't like the 13th one be a good one? Why does it have to be an evil one?
Well, it feels like, oh, that's true, but like again, both of them been evil so far, so how do we know they're not all? Well, wait, they represent the guardians. That's a good point. Maybe they've been turned evil.
What guardian is the pink one?
I don't know. You want me to keep reading?
I don't know. Well, to yourself and tell me if you should read it out loud. I don't know that it matters. I'm just wondering. So which guardian is pink? I feel like that could be the rabbit. Is there a rabbit? There should be. There's usually a rabbit. Like the Monty Python giant killer rabbit.
Oh, and so apparently he talks about them in one of the comics.
Oh, see? Yeah, I gotta read those.
Yeah.
Like Eddie's, I guess, angry at Roland and talking about, Susanna and all that. He said, if she goes into labor and pops the creature from the Black Lagoon, for instance, she's going to be completely unprepared, won't have a clue. Roland's just like, you say true, Eddie. Is there a point? If so, I hope you'll get to it.
I feel that.
Like Roland is such a hard guy to like. To tell you. There's not
Um,
much room for sympathy.
Yeah.
this I don't think this is a spoiler, but it helps answer our question. This must be from the comic. It says the orbs were created by Merlin as a gift to Arthur Eld during his coronation. But once Arthur Eld realized they were actually evil, he ordered them to be shattered, only to discover they were unbreakable. Well, that might be a spoiler, but
That sounds like a story we're gonna read at some point. That was in the comics too. Is that what you said?
I think so. I'm not sure. It's just on the wiki.
He's like, I'd trade every kid in this town for the one Susan's carrying, if it was a kid. Yeah, my kid. Or if it was a kid, my kid.
It's like, yeah, okay, calm down. We're not asking you to do that, Eddie.
Right?
We're
Why
trying
don't
to
you go
save
hang
the
out with
kids,
them?
remember?
Yeah, go hang out with the Manny for a little bit. They got some ideas you might like. And he's see, Roland's like, or Eddie said, you know, you got to promise me if she was in labor or something, you're going to try to save her. And first of all, why would you tell Roland to promise something that he can't? Roland's like, I would always try to save her, but as he's saying it, he's picturing himself letting go of Jake. You know, over the abyss. Like, come on, dude, that's not cool.
I mean, Eddie's always gonna trust him, but he definitely should not.
But then again, yeah, that's kind of Eddie's fault, right? Like the snake.
Yep.
You know, you knew I was a snake. I don't blame the snake.
Right, like why
But
are you making him make this promise that you know is probably not gonna happen?
yeah, I mean,
If it comes down to it.
you've heard the history, and he was alone when you met him. Remember that. So everyone that tried to help him before is now dead,
You're
including
not gonna change him, Eddie.
yeah. I'm the one.
Despite how
I'll
often he
change him.
tries.
Yeah, and by the way, he just killed a town not long before you met. An entire town of people. So.
People is yeah.
Well, they were
Just kidding.
people. Most, I mean, they might have been possessed by Walter, riled up by the what was her name? Sylvia Pittston, the large, sexy creature. Yeah. So, I again, I think that's Eddie's stupid. I guess he's just looking for comfort, but don't tell Roland to promise that like he's gonna take her over the tower. Well, I guess he. Well, I mean, you can promise to try to save her. I guess that's not really promising anything, right?
Right,
A
like
promise to try feels like a cop out.
he's just doing it to make him feel like Eddie's asking for it to make him feel better, but it just feels empty to me. Like
I think Eddie's really. Is this their first? I guess it is, isn't it? Their first like confrontation or battle as a concept. Everyone together.
what do you
Have they
mean?
have they fought anybody before? Other than Shardik, has they
Well, the
like Telford says? Have you used those guns?
TikTok man sort of.
Yeah, the people in Lud.
Well, yeah, the whole town.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That was kind of like fish in the barrel. That wasn't really a battle. That was like shooting zombies and Winston, zombie Winston.
Except for they're less dangerous than zombies.
They're not really battle tested, right? I mean, I guess they kind of are. I don't know. Roland makes everybody a gunslinger, so I guess that means they're supposed to be. I like Telford's right. Like, yeah, so tell me, have you ever shoot those things? Tell me, I beg.
This isn't story time, all right? You're not in my cassette.
Yeah, they do a lot of begging.
Hear me, I beg you.
Yeah, and like I like how they go real quick from I can't say it that way to they just start talking like that without thinking about it. Like,
It's crazy.
do you? I
Like
beg.
from reading it so much, it becomes so natural, and then I start like this happened when I read it the first time, but I start like almost wanting to say it myself, like.
I do it. Oh my God! I
Because
answered Michelle a text the other day. She said, are you here?" And I said, "Yeah, like I'm out front. Do you? I beg." She didn't, she didn't say nothing. Damn it!
say thank you, I beg.
Right? I can't. And I told her, like when I was talking about last time, the whole. I guess when I think of Dark Tower lingo, I think it's the Calla I'm thinking of. I
I think
didn't.
you're right, yeah.
I didn't realize it was like the Calla and kind of only the Calla that talks that way because it left such a, I guess, impression that I just translated it to like the entire, midworld.
Well, he,
Well,
like I said,
Uh,
he kind
they
of just
kind
like,
of,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, no, I was just gonna say they kind of talk like that in like Mahis too.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's much more of the I and like
Sai
yeah,
and
thank you, Sai, yeah.
they were like Christian formal. These guys have their own, like instead of the I's and the Th's and the thous and stuff. Isn't that how Susan knew she was in trouble one time because her aunt said thee instead of you or something like that? With the do ya, like where did he even get that from? Do ya? It makes no
maybe
sense. Like if I'd have made that up in a conversation, I'd be like, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard. But now it just fits. Like I said, I've read it so much. It's like, do ya? I beg. It doesn't even phase me. Tell me, I beg. They do a
it's
lot
just
of
a
begging.
difference of the timeline too, though. Like, when we get Susan's story, we're just kind of, he's not fully engrossed in the Dark Tower story yet. But now that he is, he's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go hard into this like new lingo.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it definitely everything ramped up with the Calla. He does a pretty good job of like talking about 8 different things at once. Pretty pretty frantic. And Rosalita is Callahan's. Right. So she got a lot more interesting than I was expecting. First she came with the cat oil and then she was like, "Hey, what else you got down there?"
Yeah, well, that's another thing of like, is this necessary? Is this even gonna go anywhere?
A lot of his characters, it just seems a lot of his books just have random sexual shit that doesn't necessarily enhance the story. Like, put it that way. I guess him being a man, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair,
Um,
like it's not like I don't really care necessarily one way or the other, but this is really the like we don't he doesn't have very many sex scenes in the story.
it's almost like not Roland like to be doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, Roland's not supposed to care about sex. He's going
But
to
it
the
is
tower.
funny that like he'll like the ones that we have briefly been told about have really been rolling where it's like and Susanna and Eddie's just like and they made love and they were happy all night.
Right.
Yeah.
How bad does that suck for them? Like, hey, Roland, can you like go like 500 yards down the woods and just like sleep by yourself out there a couple times a week? Shit. Like, I want to actually like moan out loud one night.
I mean, I think they're just happy to be in a bed.
Yeah.
Well,
I
yeah, I
would
know.
be.
I don't mean in the cow. Oh my God, I would be so happy. I probably wouldn't do nothing but sleep for the first 2 days.
Oh, you mean before, yeah.
Yeah, I mean when they're traveling on the road, like he's sleeping with them every night, and they're still like trying to like sneak in ways to get it in. Think I might have to tell him, hey, sleep somewhere else. Like, stop listening to us. Give me every other night. I don't know. Shit. God.
It doesn't really sound like it stops them though.
I like how Callahan eats wintergreen lifesavers because of his breath. I feel like there's some personal
Me too.
reflections going on there.
Oh, well, there's so much of you could see like Stephen King's own reflections of his alcoholism in Callahan's story.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's almost why we like it so much because it is so completely relatable because he was Callahan to a
Mm-hmm.
point. So the way he writes it is completely from what's rule number one, write about what you know. That is, yeah, in the later half of his volume of work, he does have many characters that are either drunks or former drunks and going to AA. So pretty sure I know what happened.
I mean, that's also going to be relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Danny, when he grows up, he's a post AA person in Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, he was Eddie. Sorry, Callahan's talking about his story, and Eddie's like, that's when you went 19, or maybe it's 99, or maybe it's both. Like, do you even know what that means when you're thinking that? What did Okay,
Sounds
so
like
maybe it's
no.
night. Yeah, so that's when you went 19. Okay, yeah. And what does that mean? Maybe you went, like we should have. I didn't like. I don't know. The 19 I was okay with, even though I felt a little. It didn't feel forced, but it felt like suddenly everything in existence equaled 19. The 99 feels like he's like throwing another one in there. Like I'm still dealing with 19. I'm not ready for another one yet.
I was like, we barely even know what 19 means.
Well, we don't, right? Just not normal at this point.
Yeah.
And let's say Eddie now Eddie thinks they're going 19 all the time. Like, does Eddie even know what that means when he's thinking that? Very convenient. And we haven't really talked about Callahan's story too much. It's hard. Oh, by the way, Callahan takes a bus to Hartford because it's just where the bus was going. You guys know anything else about Hartford?
That's the
What
town, right? From
from the Hearts and Atlanta story,
No.
right? No.
From the Mist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
The book obviously ends different. Ding, ding, ding. You want to press?
Well, we have talked about this before.
Yeah, I was expecting you to. I was hoping you would. We've talked about it many times, but in the book, Al, you've seen the movie. Have you read it?
I have not read it, but I saw the movie a long time ago.
Okay, well, it's not that ending in the book. It never is because every director always needs to change the ending because they hate his endings, I guess.
Do you remember the ending of the movie?
Don't they like the mist rolls back and they're fine or something?
I'll just
Yeah.
say I'm not going to tell you how it ends. Yes, technically you're right. The town is saved. But anyway, in the book,
Like I said, it's
they're
been a really long time.
in the book they just they're fighting. Remember there was the whole Christian sect and the non-Christian sect, and they were all getting like weird and like sacrificing each other, and they were like, "Screw this, we're getting out of this supermarket," and they make a run for it to the car. And the
Yeah.
way it ends, they're just in the car driving, not really knowing where they're going. And he thinks he heard some. They're tuning, old school radio dial to try to see if anybody's broadcasting, and he thinks he heard someone say Hartford on one of the dials. So the book ends with him making it and hoping they get to Hartford. So that's a long way of saying he must like Hartford because that's where Callahan went to. Which I don't feel like was, I don't know. I guess it is far, but I've made that drive, I think. And well, I don't know. I'm not sure how far up in Maine Sound Lot is, but Connecticut doesn't feel far enough to someone who's trying to get as far away from vampires
Yeah,
as
that's
they
a
can.
good point. That's like a few hours.
Right? You should be in like Omaha, Nebraska, or maybe Washington State or something. Especially, I mean, first of all, just discovering that vampires are a thing, and then that they're real, and now I think I might be part vampire, possibly. Or
I
when does
also
he start? Go ahead.
go ahead.
When does he start seeing the blue halos? Is that not till later? And why does that start happening? Because I don't feel like that's right away.
It's well, I mean, I'm here now. Let me see.
Where?
You said the
In New
first
York?
one was in the movie theater. So
Right. So he was there for a while before it happened, right?
it was at least like a couple days,
Yeah.
if not longer.
But I was thinking like, okay. Well, how long was he at? That's a trick question. What's it called? Something house. How long was he at the mission before Lupe got killed? I was thinking like a year or two. Is that way too long?
I'm trying to find it. He just got to the shelter now. Oh yeah, so no, it was not 9 months.
Okay. So and he wasn't seeing any blue halos for those 9 months, right?
I don't think so.
That first day.
He said the taste of Barlow's blood never left my mouth, but they were days of grace. I didn't think a lot. I just kept my head down and did whatever I was asked to do. I started to heal. Sometime during that winter, I realized I'd started to change. It was as if I developed a kind of sixth sense. Sometimes I heard chiming bells, horrible yet at the same time sweet. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
So why did that start?
I don't know.
Right. Oh, well, yeah, I don't.
And then he says there was an olfactory element to the fugues. So he's getting the smell. And then I started hearing the bells, the chimes, and the smell was stronger than ever.
So when he started going Todash, he started seeing the halos, I think. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're kind of in another version.
What do you mean?
Well, like, kind of I can't say that. It reminds me of Insomnia, but
Right. Well, we'll get to that one.
The going Todash allows, like you said, allows him to see more than he can normally see.
Yeah. Is that like a side effect of Barlow's bite, going Todash? Which makes a whole new, like, so yeah, suddenly Barlow's so Barlow's a Todash master? You go that route.
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Right.
That's a good question.
Have we wait. Have we ever heard of Todash monsters before?
I was thinking that too, because I was gonna say that about the mist, but I don't think we've talked about that.
Okay.
We have not in the story, at least.
Well, we haven't talked specifically about the monsters, but they've alluded to the fact that like you don't want to get lost in Todash because there's evil things there.
Yeah, and by the way, the
they
mist...
do say in like when Eddie and Jake are in the black in the, like, I guess it is the Todash state, when they're not in New York, they like feel and kind of see things around them, but they don't know what they are.
Eek.
And the mist is exactly how I picture it. Maybe a little blacker. Yeah, give me a black mist.
It's like that world went Todash, or somehow Todash broke out into the world.
All right, let's stop with that. So as far as we know, Todash is a nice, loving, and peaceful place that might be a little too dark.
No, they have definitely said it is scary as hell, and you don't want to get lost there.
Tomato. Okay. So I forget what my point was.
The confusing problem, or I think that will help clear the confusion, is that Todash is both a noun and a verb.
Okay.
You know, that's good. That's a good point. It's whatever he wants it to be. Oh, so it was called home, right? That's why I couldn't think of it. I was
Yeah.
like, you know, the shelter home. What was that called?
Oh, and we finally learn about the types of vampires.
Yes.
Is a good point. So, all right. So, type 3s are like zombies, right? They barely know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Type 3s are the ones with the blue halos.
Except
They're the
for
ones he sees, right?
zombies don't have the ability to make you unaware of the fact that they're eating your brain.
Yeah. How like, oh man, when he was like fucking on his neck and he's making slurping sounds. I was like, oh God, make it stop. This is like the guy that you know you're in like I don't can't call me lover, but the guy that you're in love with, and there's like someone like eating him while you're watching. Ugh, he's like, what did he say? He grabbed the 2x4 or something and smacked him over the head, and then he disappeared in his clothes.
No, it was a meat cleaver. He put it through his head.
Oh, yeah. Still, doesn't that break the rules?
What rules?
Well, in Salem's Lot, they had to fucking put a stake through Susan's heart for her to die.
Oh.
Just saying.
Well, was Susan a type 2 or a type 3?
You know, that's the next question. Okay, so what's a type 2? Maybe she was. So type 2 is more like, I don't remember what type 2 was.
Type 2s can create other type 2 vampires, and type 3s cannot.
Type 3s are like the disabled reject vampires that get made.
The Runts.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, I forgot about them. We didn't even really like been to the Calla except for the dance in this part.
Well, and the 4 special plates
Was that in this part?
at the
what-
end.
Oh, right. I don't like that he calls them that again.
I don't either.
It feels racism. Racism. Stop trying to make up words. No, I'll let that to the master. Yeah, so he was good for 9 months, and then it just randomly started going to shit. They started seeing vampires, and one of them ate Lupe. Well, wait, no.
Well, he's fed off.
He
of
saves.
him.
Yeah, he saves Lupe, and he like.
Yeah.
I don't know what goes full on
Well-
drunk and got ashamed and ran away again.
Excuse me. No, the type 3s don't kill them. That's what he was saying. They just kind of like feed off of them.
That's so much worse.
Right? It's weird.
Like, yeah, it makes I'm like holding my neck now.
But like it have the ability to, there's an anesthetic or amnesia, I'm sorry, and like, you know, make them not aware while it's happening.
Yeah.
And then the bites go away.
Yeah, no evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you don't know it's happening. You don't remember that it happened. So much like I thought a leech was bad, that you wouldn't know a leech was on you unless you saw it. Little Stand By Me, yeah. But the vampires, so much. Well, I guess in general, vampires worse than a leech, but
But if type 2s can create 2s and 3s, what's the difference? How do they differentiate?
so
Yeah,
maybe they have a machine.
Which
You have
side
to
do
hit
you
the
want?
3 button, not the 2 button. Right?
Yeah. Type 2 vampires create other type 2 vampires in a relatively small area. In other cases, type 2s create type 3s. I'm like, well, what other cases?
In a relatively small area, what does that mean? Like, you have to be next to each other?
I don't know. I guess like Salem's Lot style, where you just take over a whole town.
Well, those are the ones, and they live.
Well, Barlow was the one.
Right, that's what I'm reading. They live a really long time and sometimes go to sleep for a couple 100 years because they get bored. And then when they wake up, they take over town. They make new vampires, what we call the undead. They are type 2, who are also capable of making new vampires, but they aren't coming. That didn't help me. I mean, I would assume a type 1 can make whatever the hell it wants. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a...
Yeah, do type 1s make type 3s or only type 2s?
Seems like only type 2s from that explanation.
I don't think it really even matters, but it's just funny. Some of these things are, I'm like, all right, cool. Why do we need this system?
Type 3s are like mosquitoes. They can't create more, but they can feed and feed and feed.
I'm pretty sure mosquitoes can create more mosquitoes, but okay.
Well, they can also feed.
Yeah.
I like how Callahan doesn't really know what AIDS was. Because of, like, I don't know where I guess because he was on the road. He's like, is that what they did? Oh, because he, like, left
He's been in
1983.
Bedworld. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's been in the Calla for however long. He's like, oh, is that what they called it? AIDS? Yeah, it's good enough. Works as much
I
as
like
anything
how,
else.
well,
Some of the
Eddie
men
is
called it fuck sore disease. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not one we want to stick.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking when people are getting like Susanna is like, Eddie, don't say that. And he's like, I don't remember what he says. I have to find it. It was funny. He's like, I'm tired of being something about the one there when the curtain went down to have to break it to you all or something like that.
Hey, right. Life spoiler alert. Type 3s, however, can go out in daylight and they take their principal sustenance from food just as we do. Okay, that's weird.
So why do they eat? I don't understand.
Type 1s like Barlow are very rare. Type 2s don't last long. Their very hunger undoes them. They're always ravenous. Okay.
So type 3s, does that mean type 3s don't have to drink blood?
I think so. They just do it. It's like getting ice cream after you eat your green beans. I don't know.
Well, or it could be like a type of addiction.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
Oh God.
especially if they,
Right.
I mean,
Vampirism.
like, I don't know if this is in Stephen King's lore, but like in just a typical vampire lore, like they can smell and hear the blood like moving through people's veins. So if you like, if they're around someone with like a nick or something, it could be like, oh my God, like that smells delicious. Do I need it? No. Do I want it? Yeah.
That
That's
just
true.
makes them assholes. You're an asshole and a vampire. Like,
Yeah, but I have
I'm
a
surprised.
feeling. Well, what's worse, type 3s who are just feeding off of people without them knowing about it, or type 2s that are creating other vampires and killing them essentially?
Type 2s are ravenous. So do they kill people when they eat?
Well, remember, didn't that happen? I don't know if I'm mixing up my vampire stories, but like I felt like somebody lost control when they were trying. They were gonna turn. I don't know. I think maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Roland thinks Black 13 just started calling them. That's why it started happening.
Why? What started happening?
He started going to that. Like he
Well,
randomly just one day started hearing chimes and seeing vampires and going to it. Like I said, like he explains it like Barlow gave him the ability to see the vampires, but he didn't see them until he started hearing the chimes.
So he thinks it's
And
13.
Roland says something was calling you from this world. That thing in your church, I suspect, although it would not have been in your church when you first knew of it. It was not. How do you know? Tell me, I beg. I wish someone would just say no one time for that. Tell me, I beg. Nah. You beg all you want.
Nah, dude.
Not happening. What happened next? was Lupe. His name was Delgado. First thing he's like, did he? I guess he didn't need to retrofit that because he actually wrote this after.
Yeah.
It feels very convenient. Like, actually, he literally wrote this right at. Well, this is the next thing he was writing. He didn't write it right after. Was it in glass?
I think it's, well, they even say that, like, it's just all a sign that, things are, well, I don't want to say that, but I was going to say going 19, yeah.
I like how Eddie starts thinking. I think he's been hearing about vampires too much because he starts thinking Susan's baby is a vampire. He's like, what if Callahan was smelling bitter onions and hot metal right now? What if he was seeing a blue glow around her stomach like a belt? Oh, that would be awkward. And so I guess I didn't even think about that. So he still sees vampires, I guess, right?
Well, we haven't gotten to the end of his story yet.
Yeah. So we don't actually know.
Well, that's true. That's right. I wonder if that comes in handy out there in the middle of nowhere.
Because remember, he's allowed. I didn't even think about that, but he has a church and like is allowed to be in it, not cast out. So he's got some religious power again.
Which means he's got some respect from the I guess elders in the town. So he's been there for a little while. You don't get that overnight.
Yeah.
And they all like whenever they say shit, they're like begging your pardon, pair. There's no offense to you, I beg. So yeah, I don't. It's been there for a while. A lot of Elton John, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. Very ironically placed, but once it got in my head, I couldn't get it out. I could almost hear it perfectly while,
I think it was.
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
While the shit was happening, like I could almost see it as a soundtrack, like in a movie while I'm reading.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I'm like, I don't even know that song, but the way he set it up, I could picture it so perfectly.
Yeah, that's a good song. Like Elton John had a ridiculous amount of, I don't know, like 20 years in a row with a #1 song, something stupid like that.
Oh wow,
Jesus!
All right, that is the end of the podcast. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
bye.